For a month, I traveled with 3 rolls of film and a digital camera. I saw Western Australia, Perth, Busselton, Tasmania. This is the story of these photos. Meeting up with 2 friends in Tasmania, the first time all of us had been together in 2 months. We all started our Australia journey together in August. No idea we would meet Clara, her having no idea she would meet us. None of us knowing then how close we would grow to each other. I cannot imagine being here without them. My experience would be something completely different. We checked into a hostel with a view overlooking Hobart and the mountains. Each of us sleeping in a different room and meeting up in the common areas to decide what we would do that day. We rented a car, and on the first day of our road trip, Kat and Clara went skinny dipping while I was on standby for photos of the aftermath. We did a loop around Tasmania, seeing as much as we could fit in 5 days. Coles Bay. Launceston, Deloraine, Cradle Mountain, two nights sleeping at camper van parks in our mid-size SUV with layers and layers of clothes on. Mount Field, back to Hobart. I couldn't stop taking photos. Everything in Hobart was so beautiful. I had to stop myself to save the amount of film I had when we did our road trip. It was better than I expected, this trip with friends.
Okay, got it. It's already recording. Oh.
My friend take a turn.
Get ready when it stops.
Before that, I was in Western Australia. My memory works backwards, but I'll start at the beginning of Perth. Here I'm about to do something I've never done before, which is travel alone for 2 weeks. I've only ever done day trips traveling by myself, and I never really felt safe, so this is kind of a big stepping stone in my life. At this point, all I had done is booked an Airbnb in a woman's home to stay with her for 12 nights. It's always been a dream of mine to take a trip like that, day by day, nothing planned. I rented a car, something else I had never done alone before. I drove on the left side of the road on a busy highway. I got so tired, I had to pull over to rest. I drove an hour and 40 minutes north to Busselton. I know it seems silly, like a simple task, but driving out to the desert alone helped me realize I can do things on my own that I once only pictured doing with other people. Everywhere I've been in Australia, I've seen signs acknowledging Aboriginal traditional owners of the land. I drove another 50 minutes north to the Pinnacles Desert. The Pinnacles Desert was my favorite thing I've seen in Australia so far, and the third destination I've listened to my favorite podcast from.
I don't even want to get out of the car, but I just drove like 2 hours, so.
I didn't realize then how much the Pinnacles would stick out in my mind amongst all I had seen. There was something special about learning how they're possibly 500,000 years old, how they came from seashells, once underwater, and will be covered again one day. Another favorite. I kept hearing about Rottnest Island. I didn't want to spend $90 on the ferry to go, but I thought I had to. I was already all the way over on the west coast of Australia, and only one ferry ride away from a destination people fly here to go to. It turned out to be as beautiful and enjoyable as everyone described. And I don't regret spending the money. I was staying in a neighborhood called Palmyra, near Fremantle, which was a beach town I spent many days exploring. South Fremantle was my favorite. The food, the people. Every neighborhood there had secondhand bookshops. I did have some days where I wish I had someone to hang out with. But that much time alone allowed my creative brain to flow freely, in a way I hadn't experienced before. Complete, uninterrupted moments of thought that went on for days. It was so hot, 100 degrees every day. I had never drank so much water or had random drips of sweat come out from pores in my legs. Another lesson learned. It's okay to do nothing some days, even when you're traveling. Even when you feel like you have to see all you can see. It's okay to watch TV, to take a nap. And then I thought, I need friends. I booked a Swan Valley wine tour that takes you on a bus from Perth to 3 wineries. It was a blast. Then it was off to Busselton. I got a phone call from someone saying they knew someone who lived there, who invited me to come stay with them. This is something I've experienced with Australians a lot. They welcome others into their homes, even when they don't know them that well, and they make the kindest hosts. I took a 3-hour bus from Fremantle to Busselton and stayed 2 nights. I walked the mile-long jetty, saw beaches, national parks. The Indian Ocean is the coldest water I've touched in Australia. Then it was back to Perth to catch my flight, off to somewhere new. To Tasmania to share my adventures with friends, to hear about theirs. I found that traveling with people makes you appreciate being alone, and being alone makes you appreciate being around people. And you have to have both to appreciate both. I miss when we had a designated class time in school for art and photography, 45 minutes uninterrupted, where we had to sit down and dedicate our focus on something creative. And I always walked out feeling like I created something. That's something I want to figure out how to do as an adult. And I think this year is teaching me how to.